There's a psychology concept, the unthought known. It's evolved colloquially to mean a sense of knowing something that is authentic to your experience, even if you haven't intentionally pondered or explored how you know or even what it is that you know. I'm autistic. I had a very visceral relationship with the unthought known, of knowing that something was going on, but not having language to express it or discuss it. I don't actually remember when I first considered the idea that I might be autistic, but I do remember once asking a therapist if she thought I was autistic and she dismissed it. But I pushed the issue and she asked me a very important question. What did I think having that diagnosis would do for me? And I didn't quite have an answer. I didn't really know what I was looking for or why it mattered, and so we left it. And as a therapist now myself, I can see the benefits of her approach. I actually use it often when people ask me about a particular diagnosis. There are so many stigmas attached to certain things. For example, borderline personality disorder, that sometimes people get hung up on and so distraught by the label that it halts their progress because they use it as a means to be self-defacing or as an excuse to stop trying. I tell my clients all the time that regardless of what we call it, you deserve support for your symptoms. However, there's a meme I love about why diagnoses can be helpful. It says something along the lines of it being comforting to know that you are a normal zebra and not an abnormal horse. There's also something to be said for how having a diagnosis helps you understand or at least get context around certain behaviors you have. You don't have a sweet tooth, you have diabetes, and that craving is information about what your body needs. You don't just get sick easily. You have an autoimmune disorder, and you have to intentionally take precautions. Both of these give us information about how the person needs to proceed to take care of themselves and improve their health. Diagnoses can be tricky with mental health, and I'll make another video about what contributes to that complexity and how things get missed. But while I couldn't articulate this to my therapist at the time, having a diagnosis pointed me in the right direction to understand things about how my brain works and how I navigate the world. I never actually dropped it as a thought, but what brought me back to exploring my own neurodivergence was the proposed idea that ADHD could be a specific subtype or presentation of autism, hence the more recent labels you've probably seen of ADHD. I started engaging with more information about both ADHD and autism as a part of my studies and a way to support my clients. It also, though, has become a surprisingly helpful tool for addressing and improving my own mental health. I had a lot of negative beliefs and stories about myself. I'm too much. I'm lazy. I'm selfish. I'm careless. I'm too intense. I talk too much. I am a burden. I believed that the problem was me not trying hard enough. And so I beat myself up and I got exhausted trying to work to fit the expectations because the straight A student who's the star of the musical and everybody's favorite camp counselor could do anything else that she set her mind to. And that is still true. But now I can release the expectation that I shouldn't need or ask for support. As I started to explore, and as the world of psychology started to acknowledge varying and unexpected ways that autism symptoms present in AFABs and people of the global majority, I felt a sense of relief as I got more validation that I was not alone in my internal experience. Little things about myself that I had stored away and accepted as that weird thing I do popped up and were easily categorized into varying symptoms. Hating being asked to share but being generous if it was my idea, pathological demand for autonomy. Excelling at complex processes when the directions were clear but having a meltdown trying to clean my room, executive dysfunction. Needing to divide my gum so that both molars got to chew at the same time, justice sensitivity. Even my dislike of avant-garde theater and poetry revealed itself as difficulty with abstract concepts. And so I started an experiment with myself. When I encountered difficulties in my everyday life, instead of trying to push through the internal difficulty or beating myself up for struggling, I just asked myself, what about this situation would be hard for a person with autism, and how would I help them? I'd always been inexplicably attuned to the difficult kids as a counselor or babysitter, and so why not just try that with myself? Why did I suddenly stop putting away my laundry? Oh, because the sheets don't match. Great! Throw away the sets that don't match. What makes me anxious about this social situation? I don't know what people will expect of me or how this is going to feel. Okay, great. Research similar situations or ask someone who's been in that situation. What makes me hate this task? Not enough dopamine and I don't know where to start. Great. Add dopamine by asking for a body double or ask someone for advice about a good starting point. Instead of believing that that sensation inside my body stopping me or making me resist something was me just being a terrible human, I just started asking, what would make this easier? If you're too short to reach something, grabbing a ladder or asking for help are both good tools to overcome the difficulty. And now that I knew the difficulty wasn't because I was lazy and stubborn, I was able to accept that I could ask for a different tool or resource. I started being kinder to myself, and I started forgiving myself for the things that were hard for me that others found simple or easy. And so not only did I become aware of my autism, but I began to accept it. And that acceptance empowered me to love myself and the way that my brain works.